So welcome back. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you have been watching these videos and enjoy them, please give us a like because that really helps my channel and supports the build. And in today's video, we're going to be tearing down or trying to attempt to tear down this engine over here. I've just removed it from the Camry and we're just going to get rid of the wiring harness around the engine so we can get a better look at it because the engine does have a few leaks that we do need to fix up. I'm going to go ahead and also lift the engine up and drain the oil. I'm going to remove the transmission and try to get it on the stand today. You can see right around here there's quite a bit of oil leaks around where the rocket cover gasket is. I think there's some just here which actually could be from the head, so we've got to be really careful with that. I do have a whole set of new gaskets in my little containers slash stuff, I don't even know, my boxes all over there that we still need to go ahead and unbox, which will happen maybe today. But we have a lot of work today because we need to get this engine on a stand as soon as possible and move this Camry out and bring the MR2 in to take the engine out of that car as well. We have a lot of work to do. So we've got a bit of a spaghetti mess over here, just like Lachlan's BMW suspension components. Everything's just wiggling around, but it should be difficult to remove everything. Everything should just be held on by like 12, 10, 14 millimeter bolts. We should be able to get a good visual of all this. I do want to say also as well that if you want to do this yourself, it's actually not that difficult. Like, damn, that was torqued on very hard. You'd think that there'd be a lot of stuff that you got to remove to get an engine out of the car, but it's really not that difficult. Especially if you've got the right kind of people helping you out, then you'll be right. Fuck, there is oil everywhere. Oh my god.
I try to shut you up, but all I get is carried away, carried away. Tell you I've heard enough, but every time.
We've now removed about 80% of the wiring harness and you can see it all goes up over the timing belt and under the intake. So we're gonna have to remove the intake, remove all this stuff around the timing belt, and we'll be able to get all of it off. Just a bit of a headache because we've got to remove all this stuff. It's got a million vacuum lines and coolant lines. I know that I can delete some of it, but I still need to know where everything goes. So just a little bit of a hassle, a little bit of a setback, but we're nearly there. I thought this would be pretty intimidating as well, but it seems as if all the cables are like all set in the right spots, and it's not really confusing because they're all different plugs where the wiring harness is. So like, let's just say there's a single spot in the wiring harness where there's like 3 cables. All of those connectors will be different and they won't actually be the same, so you can plug them into the different instruments or whatever you want to call them, and if they don't fit, then it's not the right one. I'll show you what I mean. So you can see right here there's like 2 different plugs that come off this spot that probably go to somewhere in the similar position, and they're completely different plugs, so you can't muck them up. And like, here we go, here's 3 different plugs. Like, they all go, one goes here, one goes there, and another one goes who knows where, but very easy to distinguish each one from each other. I'm going to go ahead and remove the intake. This is not that intimidating because I have done this before. More time lapses. Just as usual, it's been about an hour later, and I assumed that this job was going to be kind of easy. We had to remove a lot of things because the wires are like trapped in all these different crevices. For example, I had to remove all the mount kind of things, all the mount metal bits on this side of the engine to get rid of literally one sensor. I'm pretty sure just need to unclip one little clip and then the whole harness should come out. Oh my god. What's caught? There we go. Harness removed. Yeah, the boys. Set this aside. Oh my god. Oh my god. Woo. There's the harness. Holy crap. That was a big job. I don't know what we need to keep for this, so we're just gonna kind of keep that there for now. Intake over there. We need to cover these up so no dirt falls into them. So I'm just waiting on Lachlan to come around. He's going to bring some of those blue sheets over, those blue automotive sheets, well, towels or whatever, that really do a good job of absorbing car liquids. Engine's looking pretty bare right now. It's a lot smaller, well, a lot smaller looking at least. And I've kind of labeled some bolts here, but I have a mental note of where everything goes, so we should be all right. And fast forward 20 minutes later, we have Mr. Butler over here. Ah, Mr. Fam, you excited to do this, dude?
Super excited. Oh
my God.
It's going to be fun.
So what do we need to do now, fam?
Now I need to take the good old tranny off.
Exactly, we need to take the transmission off, then put the intake plenum, if you want to call it that, back on and bolt it up because that's where the hook is, so we can move this engine up off the ground and onto the stand. Actually, I think a better thing for Lachlan to do, because he doesn't want to get his hands dirty because he's got to leave soon, you can set up my engine stand for me. So that's going to be a lot easier. Yeah, so go set up the engine stand. The box is over there. That's just part of the goodies over here. We've got a lot of shit.
I haven't opened the big box yet.
No, we're not opening that till later, dude.
Oh, don't tease the audience.
Dude, bring it over. It's not that heavy. Unless you're a weak little bitch.
It's pretty heavy.
So while Lachlan's setting up this engine stand, doing the easy job, I'm gonna do the hard job of taking this transmission off. I'm not even gonna bother looking up anything because it should be pretty straightforward. Bolt there, bolts all around underneath to get this transmission off. I'm sure there's nothing much else to it, hopefully.
Yeah, you'd want to hope.
Yeah, you'd want to hope. So let's go get this done.
Do you remember how you held me then? Now you got me reaching out. And do you see you got me falling in more times than I can get out. Down in the deep of my mind, I crawl for you and you're always inside. Down in the deep of my mind, how long do I got to keep you, Down in the deep of my mind, I crawl for you.
We have even more progress as we continue throughout the night now, and as you can see, we've removed the transmission, the clutch, and pretty much the last thing we need to do to get this engine on the stand is remove all these flywheel bolts. Now the problem is when you spin this, you rotate the whole engine, and when you do that, you can't get the bolts off, so I'm gonna need to find a 14mm impact socket to use on my gun so I can just zap them off, but for now it's like, they're not going to come off with me just taking them off like that. Also, I found one of the worst smelling things ever that has ever come out of a car, transmission fluid. It is actually gross and it's everywhere because me being new to this did not drain all the transmission fluid, so yuck. Also, what I found out is that transmissions are extremely heavy and fuck, I cannot lift that by myself. Like, I could if I really tried, but it's not worth it. I'm gonna break my back or something like that. Holy crap. Now, if we look at the engine, it's getting smaller and smaller every time. It's pretty cool seeing this like this. Also, pretty interesting, the clutch as well. I've never seen like a clutch with like this sort of style thingo. I don't know what you call it, but usually you see like springs here. I'm just not used to that. My unprofessional opinion says to me that this clutch looks like it's fine. I ran my finger along with the glove and it did not feel like there were any like, waves or anything like that. It felt super flat, so did the flywheel. I'm probably going to get the flywheel machined again. Just maybe I might get a lightened flywheel, but they're expensive. They're around $500. That's like pretty much more than half the value of the Camry over there, so yeah. God damn, all this fluid as well came out when I took this out. I didn't even know that I could just yank that out. I should have just read the instructions, but I just kind of went ham and undid bolts and everything in the pattern over here, so I know where they go. There's a bit of everything everywhere, so it's going to be a little bit challenging putting this all back, but hopefully it all lines up like when we did the knock sensors and water pump. Lachlan also managed to complete the engine stand. It's all ready to go. He's gone off and he's off to his job, so we won't be seeing him maybe until tomorrow, but check that out. This engine stand's all good to go. Just need to get everything up on there. I think we're going to end it for tonight. Done a lot of work. I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's now the next day and it's really nice outside. It's spring for those who don't know. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's nice and blue and the wind is not existent. Today we've got a lot of work ahead of us. We need to mount this engine onto the engine stand. Like I said yesterday, we need a 14mm impact socket to just zap those bolts off, because if we try to use a breaker bar, it spins the whole entire engine and we just we'll get nowhere doing that. One thing I also found out is that I need some bolts to actually mount the engine onto the engine stand. So if we look at this, you see there are spots for the bolts to go in. So we need to do some measurements and find out what thread pattern will actually go into these specific holes on the engine to hold it in place. So I'm thinking of just mounting the engine to these 4 holes because that makes sense to me. I'm hoping that they're all the same thread pattern so we don't have to muck around or anything. But if they're not, I'm sure that we'll find some right bolts. It's also very early, so let's take the MR2 to get some breakfast. I think I might need to fill her up too. But, oofed. Can't wait. Lovely. Repco. That driveway there is like next level steep. Unfortunately, I have to park the MR2 far away to get into Repco. It's a bit of a hassle, but low life. So here's one of our transmission bolts, and this bolt goes into every one of the holes that I need for the engine stand. So we're just going to try get a bolt similar to this size, just a little bit longer. I'm also going to thread this into the bolts that they have at Repco to see if it's got the same thread pattern as what they said on the forums. So let's go do that. We actually had to park so far away because there were no spots. Just a little bit of a struggle living this slow life, but you know, looks good. Looks good. Bolts, bolts, bolts.
Are you doing it? Seriously?
All right, I think it's M12 by 1.25. Let's just try to screw that in. Yep. Looks like that's it. So unfortunately Repco didn't have a bolt for me, so I'm heading down to this other place that hopefully has one. I'm in a bit of a rush because it closes really soon. Hopefully I don't need to fill up with petrol on the way as well. Well guys, that place didn't have any of the right bolts. So the problem is it's the weekend, so no one's going to be open. And I need to get this thing on the stand today, so far out.
One eternity later.
And 2 days later, so this video is probably going to be over like 4 or 5 days or whatever. We finally have 4 bolts to mount the engine on the engine stand. So I went ahead and went to the Melbourne Bolt Company or whatever they're called. Got some bolts, very easy to get actually. I just gave them the bolt, told them my size, and they came out with a bolt within 30 seconds. There is a little bit of an issue where I'm gonna have to get like some washers to hold this bolt back because it is pretty long, and you can see that there's like room here so that the engine won't actually bolt directly onto this. So I'm gonna need to get some washers before I start this, and then we'll be able to mount the engine. Oh yeah, over the weekend we also went ahead and cleaned up the garage a little bit, so we have a lot more space to work on the engine, so that's very good. Look at all this space. There's still a lot of stuff there, but you know. So I managed to acquire my bolts and some washers, just a few. I actually have a lot more than this. Fuck. Just a few, just a few. So I somehow have to move the engine hoist and the engine all the way over here so I can get plenty of room to mount it on the stand. It shouldn't be too hard, but the only person here is me, so.
Like the cool blue light.
Well, that wasn't as hard as I thought. So now we need to put the engine stand mount thingo. I'm thinking of using these 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I still need to take this cover off, it seems, otherwise it'll be pressing against it and it could cause problems. So let's do that. I think it's just one 10mm bolt. Thing should just come off. For those who don't know it by now, pretty much when I take anything off this engine, I don't know if I'm supposed to 100%, but just got to use like logic. If I was to keep this on, for example, it would seem as if it would just crush this and make, you know, the gasket a little bit shit or whatever it is. I think it's a gasket. So you just gotta kind of like use logic and really just like think about what you're doing. So 10mm, lovely, nice and straightforward. Off she comes.
Down in the deep of my mind, I crawl for you and you're always inside. Down in the deep of my mind, how long do I got to keep you? Down in the deep of my mind, I crawl.
Time for the not so fun bit. Lachlan is still in bed, so he can't help me with this. All right, let's get this engine on the engine stand somehow, some way. I'm pretty sure when I jack it up as well, it's gonna like tilt this way, so I'm gonna get the crane on and I don't know. I'm gonna do it and we'll see what happens. Oh, here she comes. Hopefully. Slide this one. Ooh. Just a bit. Fuck. There we go. Oh my god. This way. First engine to be ever mounted on an engine stand by yours truly. Big things. Now that we have this thing all up in the air, it's a lot easier to see and work on. We can see where we need to replace gaskets. Just looking at it, I can see that we definitely need to replace the rocker cover gaskets, both of them. And it looks like it's leaked down, passed through all the way down here. You can see it's a lot wetter there. I don't know if we'll have to replace this sump gasket as well, the oil pan. I think the oil pan is just one big piece. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. For those curious, I'm also going to be keeping AC on the 3VZ because I do want to have a functioning air conditioner because it is going to be summer within the next couple of months. I'll be able to delete this power steering module pump and along with that belt as well, because we obviously aren't going to be running power steering in the MR2, and if we did, we would never use that, like I've said before. We do need to also go ahead and replace some of the gaskets located internally where the air intake is, so like underneath here there's like these two steel gaskets. I'll also be able to clean the whole engine down, and I do plan on painting the rocker cover and the intake manifold because I reckon that's going to look sick. I also need to replace this belt, it seems, because this one is trashed. Look at that, you can't even see any of the labels it would have had on it. The timing belt, however, looks good. I think just to be extra safe, I'm going to change that too. I think we're going to end it today because this video has gone over a good amount of days and I'm sure it's hitting that 15 to 20 minute mark already. We've got lots of work to do. I'm going to do some more today, include that in the next video, and I'm super excited to get this thing started. Anyway, we are definitely getting somewhere and I'm super happy about that. I honestly didn't think I'd be at this stage so quickly. It's only been like a week or so. I think 2 weeks nearly. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe. Catch you guys in the next one.